Hi, it's Daniel from John Buys Bay Area Houses. We hear from homeowners every day who need to sell fast, whether it's a life change, a problem property, or they just can't wait around.
When I inherited my grandmother's house, it felt like too much to handle.
Being a landlord was draining me, all those constant repairs and tenant issues.
At John Buys Bay Area Houses, we make selling your house simple. Sell as is without any fees, commissions, or hassles. Call 510-800-JOHN or visit our website and you'll get a fair cash offer in minutes.
I sold Grandma's house and finally felt free.
They handled all the property headaches, and I could finally relax.
Start fresh. Don't let your house hold you back. Call 510-800-JOHN or search online for John Buys Bay Area Houses to get your cash offer today. That's 510-800-JOHN.
Start fresh with John Buys Bay Area Houses.
Yeah, what's up, everybody? This is your host, Jay Floyd, and welcome to another episode of Uncut Gems. I've been thinking about renaming this podcast again. I don't know. I might. I've been learning a lot about A/B testing. I've been doing a lot of A/B testing all over my career, but learning how to apply that to this type of pursuit, right? Learning how to figure out what works and what's not working and be agile and move fast. Learning how to apply those same things I do at work, not only to say it here, but to actually apply it here. So I've been thinking, so the title and name of this podcast is might be up for grabs. It is up for evaluation, absolutely. So with that being said, welcome to another episode of what is currently named Uncut Gems. Have you ever caught yourself saying, man, I'll get to it tomorrow? And then like tomorrow comes and you still like, I'm still not feeling that push. I'm still not feeling that energy rush I need. And then you wait, right? Or right in the moment, you need to get to something, you need to schedule something. Somebody, usually, let's just be honest, usually somebody tells you, right? It's your manager or an authority figure tells you need to do something. Instead of going to get to it right away or schedule it as soon as you can, we build in a little bit of, let me put it on Wednesday. That'll give me a couple of days to breathe before I get to it. That's what I call artificial delay. And here's the truth. Artificial delay is not laziness. That's confusion. I spent a lot of time making that mistake, and we'll talk about that. It's actually cognitive overload, right? Your brain is thinking about a lot of things. You've been in you have habits and a track record of getting frozen by too many things, letting your brain just kind of buffer. That's the system that you're operating in. It has a lot of buffer. You ever downloaded something and you're like, man, this is going to be great. But as soon as you go to use it, every time you really want to enjoy like some content, it's buffering. And you're like, man, something's wrong here. So this is not right. The system is installed, is operating. I eventually get to see the movie or listen to the song, but it's buffering a lot, right? Now imagine the stakeholders of your life, right? They're not waiting to listen to a song. They're not waiting to watch a movie. They're waiting for the valuable input that you have to deliver. If it's at work, they're waiting for you. You might be on a critical path. They're waiting for you so that they can either benefit from what you're going to deliver, or their work might not start until yours does. Right? If you are at home, let's apply this at home. If you are a husband, wife, father, mother, imagine the stakeholders in what you need to do. You need to do it, but you're like, you know what? I'm gonna get to that Tuesday. I got the Monday blues right now. It's gonna be Wednesday when I get to that. I relate to you. I've done it a lot, but it's something that, by the grace of God, I come into a lot of growth, and I embrace growth. I love growth. And the recent growth I've had is trying to identify those areas in life where I'm putting my own artificial delay in there. right? I'm putting my own artificial delay in there. So I am not waiting for somebody to crack down on me. Nah, man, I've recognized it. Yeah, I've gotten feedback, but I've had to go through that feedback, decipher it, synthesize out what are the critical points that I can fix. And one of them is artificial delay, right? So let me give you the actual moment it happened for me. I was in a team meeting. My team, we meet every 2 weeks to start a sprint. I hop on and I run this meeting. I'll go around the horn, make sure everybody's good with their workload, right? Every piece of work, every epic has what we call a DRI, a directly responsible individual. I check in with those DRIs and make sure they're good with the workload for the next 2 weeks. Then we kick off the sprint. In this particular one, my manager was in the meeting, right? He's just riding along, seeing where he can help, where he can eliminate some friction. And two of my team members were discussing some things they didn't align on, right? That was more complicated than they originally thought. So I stepped in doing the managerial thing, right? I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. I'm identifying that they are not aligned and pushing them to take ownership of that and create clarity. So I'm like, you know what? It seems like y'all are not aligned. I think we need to resync on this, right? Let's set up a meeting between the three of us where we can get everybody back on the same page. Great, right? Did the thing I was supposed to do. Then I said, without looking at my calendar, let's do it Wednesday. Now, this is Monday morning. I said, you know what? Let's meet up Wednesday. And immediately, my manager pings me and says, I really love it if you could do it earlier than that. And I was like, okay, gotcha. So I opened my calendar, found that there was some time blocks later on Monday that I had free, right? And I put that time block there. I set up the meeting there, right? It sounds super simple, but I want to hit on a couple of key concepts here. One, when he mentioned it, I had never even checked my calendar, right? I immediately mentally buffered 2 days. This is Monday, let's meet Wednesday. Now, why did I do that? Why? That's the question I had to ask myself. And for all of y'all out there, I want to break this down. I know it may sound like I'm going a little bit too granular, but I know this is all super important, right? So I didn't check my calendar. I buffered 2 days. Why? If you're looking to grow, you have to find the point at which things didn't happen sharply, and ask yourself why. If it's you that did it, ask yourself. If it's others, try to find out why, right? Get to the root cause. The reason why I didn't was because I was in the middle of hiring a new team member. I had a ton of interviews the week before that had exhausted me on Friday. Now here we are Monday morning, and I have an afternoon that is not consumed with interviews. There was one. So, right, the interview process wasn't over. I did have another interview that afternoon, but I wasn't fully consumed with it. But my mind was, because I had been so exhausted on Friday, and it had been a pretty long and kind of tedious hiring process for this particular open role. So my mind was seeking some rest. It was like, man, I'm bogged down. I don't want anything back to back, right? I don't want to even think about things that could be close to back to back. I'm going to buffer 2 days, right? So this is not procrastination in the classic sense. It's a delay that's caused by clutter in the system. I had clutter in my system. right? My process had created more questions than answers. And confusion. Confusion eats energy. When you're confused, you delay. When you delay, you lose momentum. And that's the reason why my manager was like, hey, I would love if you could do it sooner, because he recognized, man, you're going to lose the momentum here. You lose momentum, you lose confidence, and you could lose opportunity. Right? So a lot of people, they think, oh man, it's just laziness. This is a self-discipline problem. It's really not, or at least not in a way you would typically think. It's a systems problem. If your system is messy, you will be messy. If your workflow is confusing, you will be confused. Think about it. A cluttered desk or inbox makes you burn energy just finding the start line, just finding where to get started. An overcomplicated process makes you hesitate because you don't even know where the next steps should go. I didn't even look at my calendar. Right? So even inside your head, if priorities aren't clear, the fog slows you down. So I knew I had to step back and drive clarity. Right in that moment, I opened my calendar, which is what I should have done to begin with. I found the next block and I put it on there. Now, I know what you're thinking. That does not eliminate the fact that you were exhausted the week before. It doesn't eliminate the fact that you were right in the middle of a hiring process that was taking a toll on you. No, it doesn't. But the best way to fight that is not to just arbitrarily buffer and look for rest. Right? You can't do that. You don't fight fog with just space. Right? You fight fog with clarity. So how do you stop? How do you blow up artificial delay? How do you do it? This is what I call TNT, right? And I'm stealing this from Sharon Moore. Shout out to the Michigan Wolverines football head coach. Said his team was focused on TNT. What does TNT stand for? It stands for today, not tomorrow. Today, not tomorrow. Right? Everything cannot be done right now, but when it can, it should. Period. If you use that as your underwriting fundamental, right, then you'll start addressing it. Now, I know you're going to say, well, there's going to be obstacles in my way. Absolutely. Absolutely. But if you keep driving, it's like a nested Russian doll. You keep driving, you keep lifting one up. There's another one under, there's another one under, but you keep lifting until you get to the smallest one. Right. So if you do this and you identify, you know what, the reason why, like for me, the reason why I would buffer, because I'm exhausted from Friday. I have another interview that Monday, and now I have put an unplanned resync on my schedule. And the reason why I didn't go look for it that day is I thought that would cause me some problems. Well, it can cause problems, but the way to address it is prioritization. So what I should have done is circle back around to my manager or even talk to them to begin with and say, okay, this hiring process is being a little bit longer than I expected. It's causing some lack of clarity for me when other big things pop up. I'm having an issue prioritizing. So what's my priority order? Right. So that's what I actually ended up doing. We sat down. He was like, you know what? Hiring is your number one priority. All right. And here's 2 and here's 3. Right. And everything else, say no. And feel confident in saying no. And when you operate that way, you can properly put things where they need to go. Right. Now, that doesn't discount the other thing I should have done, which is actually open my calendar. Now, the reason why I wasn't was because in my mind, I just knew that afternoon meeting was floating, right? So here's what what I wanted to do was buy some relief. I was like, man, I don't even remember what time this interview is in the afternoon. I'm not even going to think about it. I just don't want to clutter it up. And I'm going to put this meeting off till Wednesday. Not a good plan. right? So how do you apply TNT to fix this kind of thing, right? Number one, scan your inputs daily. Once a day, write down every input, right? Emails, tests, requests, texts, requests, tasks. Circle the ones that feel fuzzy. That's where your artificial delay is going to hide, right? Why is that one fuzzy? Oh man, this is too much. Maybe I got back-to-backs. Okay, there's a way that you can now change. You can set up your calendar so that it doesn't allow back-to-back meetings, that it includes a buffer, right? So now what I'm talking about is improving the system. Everybody has a system. You actually are a system. And what you're operating in is a system, even if it's messy. My system at the time was unclear, imprecise, and operating out of lack and exhaustion, right? It was reactive, not proactive. So one of the first changes I made was, let me get ahead of it. What does my whole week look like? What have my last few weeks looked like? What does my next week look like? And how can I, anything that's scheduled, you might be able to move the meeting, maybe possibly to get it a little better. But going forward, how can I schedule this out better? So what I did was went to my trusty ChatGPT thread and said, you know what? Here's some of the things I'm dealing with. How do you help? How can I strategize this better? Right? In the times that I like, given everything you know about me. That's the great thing about GPTs. You can ask them and it can remember everything that it's learned about you. It's given everything you know about me and the way that I work and the way that I deliver, my neurodiversity, right? The things that I struggle with, which for me is adult ADHD, right? Given everything that you know about me, when I'm most productive, when I need heads down time. How should I begin to plan my weeks and days? Do I need 15-minute buffers between every meeting? What's the max time of back-to-back meetings that work for me? Is it 2 hours? Then I can go fix the system. I can build into my calendar those buffers, those restrictions, those rules. And then once that is in place, I take one step. Let's say I just do that. And my schedule now becomes much clearer and freer. And there are bigger spaces for me to have heads down time. There are bigger spaces for me to drag in a quick meeting when I need to resync with folks, right? Then I take that one step. Now it's much easier for me to guess what? Do what? TNT. Something comes up, I can do it today, not tomorrow. And what does that mean for me? Well, it might be tomorrow. But guess when it's going to be? As soon as possible. And I'm actually going to be able to go to my calendar and look. So much so that let's get into a Zap system that I created, right? Me working at Zapier, we like to use Zapier on Zapier. We use our own tools. So if you use automation tools out there, first of all, applause to you. You should. And tying it in with AI, that's the cheat code, right? So one of the things I did after all of this, recognizing, man, you know what? I can not only go from 0 to 1, now I can go from 1 to 3 or 1 to 5. How do I do that? Oh, I build a Zap agent, right? And I tie it to a Slack reaction. So now anytime there's a conversation going on in Slack and I feel like, you know what, that is going to need a little bit more of my time. I need to block off some heads down time, right? Like if it's like at least 30 minutes, all I got to do is click the reaction. The reaction that I have is called Zap to my calendar. I click that. The agent scans my calendar, given my rules, the context of all of my rules, that I don't want to have meetings, back-to-back meetings for more than 2 hours at a time, without a 15-minute buffer coming in between them. All of those things, that I don't want to start before a certain time. I don't want to have a meeting after a certain time in the afternoon. Given all of those rules, it'll take that, decipher the entire Slack thread, knowing who I am in the context of what my role is in the company, figure out what my role is in that thread, what I will need to do, and go find the next available slot on my calendar, block off a time for it with the correct description telling me that I need to think about whatever it was that came up in that thread. It's the power of AI, it's the power of Zapier and automation. So all of my folks out there, if you're not using Zapier yet, you need to go do it. And if you're not using AI in like everything you can, I highly suggest it. Highly suggest it. Right? Highly suggest you get going. So it's just a couple of things I've been doing. There's also more, and we'll speak to more, but I'm starting with myself, and I'm challenging my team. Right now, this is our mantra, TNT. Today, not tomorrow. Right? It's about blowing up the excuses before they calcify. Today, not tomorrow. Today is where the traction lives. Because if you wait for clarity to magically appear, you'll be still waiting tomorrow and the next day and the next day. And you'll become known as a person who does not have a bias for action. But if you create clarity in your systems, it'll free up those blockers around you, clear off that desk so you can move today, not tomorrow. That's how you become real on purpose, and that's how you build momentum. One uncluttered, decisive step at a time. Thank y'all for joining me. I really appreciate it. I hope y'all got something out of this. I know I'm constantly growing, so I'm going to always try to share the things that I've learned and the ways that I've grown. I love y'all and keep rocking.
Hi, it's Daniel from John Buys Bay Area Houses. We hear from homeowners every day who need to sell fast, whether it's a life change, a problem property, or they just can't wait around.
When I inherited my grandmother's house, it felt like too much to handle.
Being a landlord was draining me. All those constant repairs and tenant issues.
At John Buys Bay Area Houses, we make selling your house simple. Sell as is without any fees, commissions, or hassles. Call 510-800-JOHN or visit our website and you'll get a fair cash offer in minutes.
I sold Grandma's house and finally felt free.
They handled all the property headaches, and I could finally relax.
Start fresh. Don't let your house hold you back. Call 510-800-JOHN or search online for John Buys Bay Area Houses to get your cash offer today. That's 510-800-JOHN.